What's up, folks? Hope everybody's doing well today. If you haven't yet, switch over to Amazon Smile. Super simple, super easy. Pull up the app, pull up the website, however you choose to shop on Amazon. In the description or the product search bar, just type in Smile. One of the options in the drop-down box is going to be Amazon Smile. Click that, go through the little questionnaire they have. It's super simple, might take you 30 seconds to do it. Very bottom of that, it's going to ask you which charity you want to donate to. Professional Firefighters in North Carolina Charitable Fund is what you want to put in there. There is a link to that in the description. You can copy and paste it, whatever you want to do, doesn't matter. Just please switch over to that service. What it does, it takes a percentage of everything that you purchase on Amazon, and Amazon donates it to that charity. It's wonderful, super simple. It's a way that you can help firefighters in our state in times of hardship, family emergencies, natural disasters, things like that. And it's all just based off stuff that you do already, just shopping on Amazon. Doesn't charge you anything extra. You never know what happens. There's no recurring costs, no subscription, no nothing like that. So we appreciate that. If this is your first time listening to the show, please like and subscribe, share these episodes with your friends. The more you share and the more 5-star ratings and comments we get, the more accessible we are to everybody else and the more accessible we are to people who are searching for content like we produce. Chris Blanchard, part 3. I know you've been waiting. Part 2 are extremely compelling. Extremely intellectual, made you think a lot, made you say, But anyway, so it's always a great time when Chris comes into the studio. Here's part 3. Hope y'all enjoy it just like you have 1 and 2. Here's Chris. We were talking about the 10-year fork in the road, and we talked about it with politicians. We talked about it with what if, let me get your opinion on this, what if the fire department did contracts or re-ups like the military does? You know how the military, they do work on 4-year periods?
Yep.
What if just whatever, you can take whatever arbitrary number you want, 5 years, something realistic. If you say 10, that's a bit much. But
no, 5 is probably most realistic.
Yeah, say what if you did 5 years, and after 5 years, you had a sit down and you had an actual evaluation. Like, do you want to continue this career? And if so, then this is the parameters that you need to meet in the next 5 years, or there's consequences for that. You know, in the military, the system is set up to forcefully
better you,
make you successful.
Yep.
Forcefully, or there will be consequences for it, whether you want to or not. If you don't promote in a certain amount of time, you don't work for the military anymore. It's not dishonorable. It's not, you don't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
So they constantly feed you with progression and betterment. And I'm sure there's reasons for that, deep-rooted past anything that I can comprehend. Somebody way smarter than me came up with that. But what's your opinion if the fire department did something similar to that, where we re-looked at things on a personal level, like every 5 years? Would it help weed out, or help kind of would it help make the number of people who take the ladder, the recliner avenue, less, and then rocket ship the people who want the other side, who want to constantly innovate, who are starving for information, starving to be better, can't get enough? And also with that, do you believe that it would open up doors to have better people?
I love this question so much.
Yeah.
That was the best question you've ever asked.
Yeah. Yeah, because like the whole time he was asking, I was like, I only have one question to counter that with, and it'll answer the whole thing.
Hit him. How
inefficient do you feel like the military is?
Inefficient?
Inefficient. On a scale of 1 to 10,
inefficient.
How inefficient do you feel like the military is? There's a reason for the question.
That Eric Prince episode on the Sean Ryan show?
Yeah.
Answers that for you.
Maybe. I have maybe a little different opinion. I don't know if I can. So does that, I'm trying to formulate this around my brain, because I have had the opportunity to be around people on both sides, conventional forces and special operations, and they are not the same thing, even close. The leadership's not the same. No aspect is the same.
Well, we're going to have to use
You're generalizing,
as a whole.
generalizing how inefficient. 0 to 10.
0 to 10.
I would say they're 100% completely efficient.
Okay, that is your answer.
100%. If you generalize the United States military into one sole thing, I would say they're 100% efficient.
Okay, so
Greatest
take that
military on
same
earth.
mentality. Yeah, take that same mentality and put it into fire service, and you would have to be way more efficient. Because what you're doing is you are forcing the people who are bad to either become better or leave, and you are forcing the people who are good to continue to get better.
You know how I'm allergic to mandatory?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
So say the exact same thing that you just said, except you're giving the opportunity.
Not forcing, you're giving the
That's right.
opportunity.
Yeah. So
At that point in time, it's all on you.
It's a personal choice. You
That's
get to
exactly
decide.
right. You're the one that gets to decide.
Yeah.
They're going to say this. They're going to say, you've been here for 5 years. You've accomplished this.
Yep. You can take your 5-year pension
Yep.
Whatever.
and you
And
can
take
roll
a
out.
hike, or you can agree to do this for the next 5 years, and we're going to give you this.
Let me pose this to you. Have you ever known of a military person who worked 4 years? That's the minimum term. And I know dozens of them who served 4 years, and that is it. Have you ever known any of them that to be a blemish on a resume?
Never.
Never. So if you did 5 years with a fire department, wherever in the world, and then that was on your resume as well, it's
But it would almost have to
it's
be.
the most applicable thing because it puts something in your new employer's brain. It puts it in their brain. They don't have to ask questions. They don't maybe, hey, why'd you leave?
It's better
But it
than a
already
degree.
builds a character basis off of this one thing.
It's just like going somewhere and filling out a resume and saying that you worked at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
It 100%, even if that person hates the food at Chick-fil-A,
right.
it 100% makes that person think, oh, yeah, there's some substance to that cat.
I would say there's 0% of people in the United States that don't know that the fire department is a thing. Like,
Right.
I agree.
I'd say there's 0%, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Every single human that has the ability to think or know anything
Knows there's a fire
knows
department.
there's a fire department.
In
they don't know how
some
it works.
respect
That's
or
right.
another.
That's right. They know that. I said in the United States. I'm sure there's some third world countries they have no freaking clue what any of that is. But in the United States, so, and like I said, I don't know anybody for the most part that would look at a resume and see that it said fireman and that would be a blemish or a bad thing.
No, I
It
don't
was
either.
how would it do anything but benefit the employee? And so then you get to your 10 years and you say, this is getting boring, or, however this was laid out, I just don't feel it anymore. That gives you the opportunity. You can take your 10-year pension or whatever, and then you move on.
But you know what I feel like? I feel like if the system was set up like you just said, where you were on a 5-year term by a 5-year term, I feel like if after 10 years on that plan, you decided, hey, I'm bored with this, and you got out, people would look at you better then than they would now the way it's set up if you quit after 5 years of doing it.
I agree.
People would look at it in
Yeah.
two totally different respects.
I agree.
I wish I had a time machine. I would love to grab a just generic fire department X and implement your idea and just watch it in time lapse and see it work. I think it would be amazing.
I would love to be able to take someone who spent 5 or 6 years in the fire service and got out of it and ask them that exact same question. Would that have made you stay longer? Would that have changed your reasoning for getting out? Because to me, that's
Look at how many firemen have turned into or are currently entrepreneurs. Just look at that. I mean, the fire service breeds them. God almighty. New business owners.
Yeah.
Say that business freaking takes off. You don't have to quit. You just have to hold on to the end of your contract.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then you can move on and let your business flourish, and you run it just as you see fit, and not be tied to this thing. You know what I mean? 'Cause we're tied. I've been there for 15 years. I'm tied there. I'm tied there.
Yeah.
So it's, it does. Even when I had the grass business, every business I've been a part of, the fire department is always the tie. It's the string that attaches me to the tetherball pole. The ball's out here doing its thing, but there's a tether, and the fire department's the pole. And I just swing around it. My world, my family, everything swings around this pole, and that is the fire department. That is my fire service career. Everything. Yeah. And I've had the opportunity to cut that string and let that ball shoot the hell away from here from time to time, or whenever, at the end of a period of time, because I wanted to pursue something else, or my family needed me to do something else. God knows. Wouldn't that be amazing? And you knew that if you retire, or not retired, but if you ended your contract after 5 years, you had enough cushion that you could live your life for 6 months until you found something else. 10 years, you could live your life for a year before you found something else. However long, you know what I mean?
Right.
And somehow it built upon that to where, you got some, it's not going to be a life retirement, but you got something. You got something till you can be proactive to get something else. I mean,
Well, it would be nice if the fire service implemented some of the same things that the military does. Like, if you serve in the military for just that 4 years and you get out, you're at that point in time, you are considered a veteran, and you are allowed the opportunities that they are down the road.
Sure.
If you come here, or I'm not using here, any other fire service in the entire country, and you work for 4 years, it's like you worked at Walmart. You're gone. There's no ties to shit anymore. You don't have.
It takes 5 years to be vested.
It takes 5 years to be vested.
So I'd say Walmart would be better off because your retirement there is in their market shares. Doesn't every employee get market shares? Isn't that how Walmart works?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I think it is. You have the opportunity. I think you have the opportunity to have your retirement in stock options.
Yes, part of your pay, and yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw you a little grenade here.
Yes. Shoot holes in it. That's what I want.
No. It's even deeper than you think. So look at the other side of that 5-year contract thing. So the municipality or city or town or whatever, it has a fire department, and they've appointed or elected a leader of that fire department. And your system is in place with your 5-year contracts. Management has got to conduct themselves in a different manner.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it applies in a completely different set of circumstances.
Sure.
Yeah. Complacency at the, like Chief Freeman was talking about, that 8 to 10 year, like, it's important there, because if you're stagnant or poor leadership, whatever, these guys are going to take their 5 years and move on. Like you said, they got the 5-year pin, and they can go apply for a job somewhere else. But if you're running like a goal-oriented, a mission-based department, nobody's leaving after that 5 years. They're like, no, man, I believe in the mission. Sign me up.
I think the 5-year contract is on every level.
Yes.
It is in the military.
Which brings me to what I was just
You're not
had in
absent
my head.
because you're a 4-bird colonel. You're not. You still have the same thing after 4 years. I mean,
Right.
You re-enlist for that time period.
Until you get to that point of, a 5-star general, and you are at that point in your life to where you're not ever moving again, how many people in the leadership role that would fall under the exact same job specification as the chief? How many of those people do you see on base at Fort Bragg for 20 years? None. They're moving out. Somebody's moving in. They're keeping it fresh. I'm not saying that we need to implement that in the fire service like that, but that contract thing puts that there to make that person continue to better themselves, to stay. I feel like we are lucky here because we have someone who is continuously making progress for us, but it ain't like that everywhere. So
Jesus, no.
if you do that, it forces their hand to either
Gives them the opportunity.
shit or get off the pot.
Gives them the opportunity.
Yes. To either shit or get off the pot.
Right.
Yeah, I like that ball being in. I like that ball being in the employee's court. I mean, you get you choose your fate.
Yeah.
It's your life. This is my fire service.
Yeah.
Let me choose. Don't make my decisions for me.
Yeah. Man, that's interesting.
Fun thought. I think if you're going to look at organized employment or organized group of people, for the most part, and I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who can probably, disagree with me. That's fine. But I would say, in general, if you're going to look for a group of people to organize after, it's got to be. It's got to be the military.
Yeah.
Got to be.
Like you were saying, everybody on the planet knows about everybody in the country knows about the fire department. Everybody on the planet knows about the United States military.
Yeah. I'd say so.
That might be the two best questions that ever asked at this table. Like,
Yeah.
we
Well
could
done,
have
sir.
just solved that 5-year, that contract thing has me thinking hard. And I'm not in the same way you guys are in it, but like that is I can see that being a
Seems like a feasible concept.
very feasible morale boosting thing. Do what we ask you to do for 5 years. We revisit your contract.
We ask you how you're liking, we get your opinion.
Yeah.
And you get the option. Do you want to do this for 5 more years, or do you see yourself doing something else? Your next 5 years, by now. So you've been here for 5 years. You know what the next 5 years looks like for your career. What your accomplishments, your milestones you need to hit. Is that something that you want to do, or is it not something you want to do?
If you do want to do it and it's worth this extra amount of money to do it, I mean, face it, that's how contracts with anything works. I'm not saying that we should open it up to off the end of the chart negotiating your own contract of whatever, but have an incentive to make you sign up for another 5-year term. Another
sign-on
5 years.
bonus.
Yes.
The only small thing that is similar to a signing bonus is our accrual rate of time, like time off. So every 5 years, the algorithm changes so you accrue, more sick time per pay period or more personal time per pay period. I was actually getting ready to ask you why, and I didn't even know the answer, but that makes me think that's about the only reason. But why do we do that? Why do we every 5 years increase the amount of time you accrue?
So it doesn't happen every year?
No.
So
every
if you
5.
start off with, how many vacation days do you think you start off with?
It's
when you
hours.
first start here?
Yeah, it's
8 days a
hours.
year, I think, is what you start with, and then
Okay.
it goes to 12, and then to 18.
So you get 8 days a year for 5 years. And then after that, because most places do it yearly.
Right.
Like you get so many hours this year, then next year you get so many hours, and next year you get so many hours until there are people that I know that have, 45 days a year off. But I didn't know that. But
That's me and Steve.
yeah,
We take at least 45 days a year off.
Yeah, at the end of your career, if you took no time, like if you actually didn't cash in any time
for 30 years.
for 30 years, I think you end up with 2 years that you could retire early or something. In my humble opinion, I think too many people bank on that.
It's not even feasible.
Plus, you're sacrificing your back, your soul, your mind on this hypothetical 28 years from now.
Right. So what they look at is they're like, well, I'm just not going to take any time off for anything, and I'm going
Don't let that mic float away from your face.
Yeah,
That's the problem with not wearing earphones.
I
it
know
is.
yeah.
I noticed that earlier. You're banking on your thought process being just what you said, and you're saying, hey, well, okay, man, I can retire 2 years early. This is the goal I'm going to have. It's a totally unrealistic goal in reality.
So silly.
2 years
Yeah.
is a fart in the wind, son.
Nothing.
Dude.
Yeah.
Look at what you've given up.
Yes.
Dude, take the common American man, especially here in the South. What is the Southern way of living? What have you been taught? What has been modeled to you your entire life? You go to high school, graduate high school, you go to college. You get out of college, you get a job. You get the job, you get a wife. You get a wife, you have kids. That's the Southern model of family living, right?
Yeah.
So you're banking on this 28 years or this 2 years. So all your good years are gone, especially in the fire service. I mean, Jesus Christ, we're already away for a third of the year. I mean, you're away for 24 hours for a third of the year. To me, it's silly. I have had this conversation with 2 people in the past 6 months. Captain Miller, Sheldon, I had a conversation with him yesterday about it. And then Chicken, I had a conversation with him about it. Both of them are maxed out on stuff. And I'm like, why?
Take
Why?
your time.
Why?
Yeah.
And I think Sheldon's argument, some hypothetical stuff about getting hurt or whatnot, I was like, well, that's cool. You know, after 90 days, your long-term disability with the county kicks in. So you really only need 3 months worth of personal and sick time combined, or one or the other. I don't think you can accrue enough personal time. I think it maxes out at 400 and some hours. That's not 3 months worth. Yeah. But the sick time and the personal time combined, which if you're out on injury, you're going to be taking sick time. Mm-hmm. You can bank plenty of that. Mm-hmm. You can bank 8 months-ish of that. So after 90 days, your long-term disability kicks in. You don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
So what are we doing?
Yeah.
And then,
mental health is a real thing. Like,
I think Chickens was the 2 years at the end, the paycheck at the end of it. I'm like, bruh.
yeah.
I think that's a very...
I'm not knocking neither one of you fellas, by the way.
No,
By any means.
no.
I'm not knocking
It's
any
a free
way.
country. Do
Yeah,
it how you want.
absolutely,
That's right.
absolutely, yeah.
But for me, if I was at the 30-year mark and I look back at that, all I would be able to think about is, what did I just waste? What did I just lose out
For
on?
2 years. My kids are gone.
Yeah.
When I retire, Jesus, when I retire, I can retire at 37 because, I'm so young. So I can, not kidding. No, I'll be 49 when I meet my eligibility for not local retirement, but for in the state system. I can't even draw any of that until I'm 55. What is 2 years? What's the point? What am I going to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ride the damn fire truck.
Yeah.
Continuously.
Or something
yes.
until I'm 55 years old. Yeah. I love this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, there's we talked about it earlier. There's events that change your perspective.
Sure.
I ran a call on River Road one night. Chicken was there. What's the dude that ended up doing the fish farms?
Davis Powell.
Davis Powell.
Yep.
Yeah, it was us three.
Yeah.
We show up, head-on collision, Saturday night, headlight to headlight. It was a good wreck. Like, good as in there was a lot of impact, a lot of work to be done. So we were on medical, cleared the medical, ran to that, arrived with 19. 19 took one car, we took the other. EMS, they're busy.
Yeah.
So extrication's complete, but we didn't pull them out of the car because there's no ambulance to put them into. So the old man was hurt pretty good in this wreck. I didn't think he was going to die, but I knew it was a possibility. So I got the boys to step back. We made sure they weren't going to fall out of the car because they were both like ready to come out. And we just gave them a minute, like let them talk because they were both alert and could talk to each other.
There were a couple?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, married couple. My point of the story is that he had just retired.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, he was a New York City cop, retired, moved down here. So we let them talk, and I stayed close enough. I didn't want him to fall out. That was going to be bad. So I just kind of listened to their conversation, and it was kind of pointless, but it was interaction between the two. And, they talked about, like, boy, this night didn't go the way we thought it would. It was light, That dude, that was his last night. He went in surgery, a blood clot got loose, and he was gone. So 2 major perspective changing things happen in that. The first one, retirement. He worked his whole deal, did his math right, and did everything, and then a car wreck jacked all of it. So what if he was the guy that calculated and worked, wasn't at home with his wife, and didn't take trips with his kids, so he could retire early and run down the River Road and get in a head-on collision and die early? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the story, but that was my perspective change. I was like, this dude was just knocking on retirement's door. He was young. Like, he definitely didn't die of old age. So the other one was our skill set is important to us. Like, we train and we want to be, I want to be the best. I think we in the room, like, we have the trade side, but we also have the compassion side. There's desires. Along the way, you still got to remember that moment. Like, it is our fire scene, but it's their life. Like,
Sure.
That person that their house just burned up, they didn't run traffic there and the heart rate go up, and I like structure fires. I love them.
Yeah.
Because statistically they're going to happen. But to the person that's there, it's emotional. Like,
Sure.
we see it, they're like, can you please just find this? Imagine backing up 6 hours and them thinking the one prized possession was this thing that was stuffed under their bed, So those 2 perspective changes, like how I calculate my retirement, it changed the way I thought about how I want to get to that retirement. And then it also confirmed for me to keep that compassion side. And we could have been like the fireman on scene, this is our scene, and continued being busy or whatever. I don't know. But we stopped and just let them have that moment. And then she didn't have that, like, we got into a wreck and everything disappeared. It's almost like I felt like she got closure.
Sure.
I don't know if it's true or not, but it makes me sleep at night.
Sure.
So I'll tell you something crazy. So my dad he worked for himself. He really didn't have any kind of retirement much, but he had several insurance policies, and that's kind of what he did. He put his money in his insurance policies, life insurance policies. So when he turned 65, he cashed in his largest life insurance policy and used the money to pay his life insurance for the rest of his life to age 100. And in 6 months, he died. So in his head, like you were talking about those people, and this guy just retired, and then bam, now this has happened. So in my dad's head, he was thinking, man, this is a payment I'm not going to have to make for the rest of my life. You have to make it anyway. He didn't know it was happening, but it came.
Right.
And it greatly reduced what my mom was able to get. But she's fine, but you know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know. I think about those situations with those people, and then think about, like, his situation, and you plan like that to do good, to think that you're doing the best thing, and to try to make things easier on you. But, man, in reality, you don't have a kick-ass clue what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it goes back to the banking the time thing, and you talking about those boys, they're thinking about that. Man, I'm going to tell you something. I've lost a shit ton of friends and family that died way before they were supposed to.
Ditto.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And seen a lot of different things, and I'm at the point, and have been at the point in my life for the last probably 10 years, where, like, I know there's not a promise for what's going to happen tomorrow. So while I want to plan, just like retirement, I want to plan to be in good enough shape to live comfortable. But what happens between now and then, I'm going to try to live 100% to the fullest, because, man, you don't ever know. You'll be the next person possibly that rides down the road, and the same thing happens to you, and you're like, shit, man, you plan for that perfect retirement in a 3-car garage, and you retire on this day, and a week later, you know, something could happen, or to me, or to you, or to anybody. And so, just like you told those boys, what the hell are you doing? Take it. Don't take it with you. I honestly live by that whole thing. Like, you just got to, you need to plan. Don't get me wrong.
Planning is important.
But you damn sure better live for right now.
Carpe diem.
Yep, to the fullest. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. My biggest fear on planet Earth, and I swear to God when I say this, my biggest fear, and it's the balance struggle that I live with doing this show, with working at the fire department. Those are the two things that take me away from my house in my life. That's about it. And teaching motor rescue, I guess, my teaching career. Those are the three things that take me away from my house. My biggest fear on planet Earth is if I were to get taken off this planet tomorrow for whatever reason, and Chris or Steve or Joe Blow down the street was like, what was the most favorite thing that you did with your dad? And they had to think about it. I failed. I failed. And that's with my wife. That's with my kids. That's with anybody who knows me. That's my biggest fear. Like I said, that's the hardest balance that I have, is how to spend my time. So I believe in planning, but fuck 2 years at the end of my career. Fuck all that. It's too late. It's too late to build a legacy when your time of work, your career years are over. It's too late. You can't build a legacy, and you can't build memories with the people that you love the most after your working careers. It's just not possible. You don't have enough life left.
You don't have enough hips left.
You don't have enough life. You don't have enough hips. Their life. They're older. We've all been there. We've all been 18 to 30 years old, and the connection with the parents is not the greatest in those years. They're dumb as hell. You're brand new to the world. You're on your own. You know the best. Their impact on your life for that probably decade, maybe a little less for some people. Mine was about a decade, from 18 to 28-ish, whatever. Mom and Dad didn't know nothing. Me and my father had an awful relationship. Awful. We didn't hunt together anymore. We didn't
I've been there.
We didn't fish. We did nothing. We did stuff on family vacations, and it was not a fault of my father's at all. We just saw life differently, and it was not the same. We didn't jive. And I'm silly to think that me and my son, or me and my daughter, and moms and daughters, I hear, are worse than us and our sons. But it's if you're not present to make an impact with your wife or with your kids or your significant other, your dog, whatever you value in your life away, then during your working career time, it's silly to think that you are going to be able to have those relationships when you're done. If it's what you value, you have to work on it now. You can't worry about your 3-car garage, your GTO, your project car, and your daily driver after you're retired. You have to do it now. You have to spend time now. I mean, my kids are 8 and 4. Now, they're sponges to my world. They're soaking up more information that I put down than I can even comprehend. And I've done a lot of reading on this and stuff like that, but they say it stops about 12 years old. They stop retaining a lot of things that so you have from 0 years old to 12 years old to impact them most. That's right. And my biggest fear is, like I said, is for them to have to think about something, to have to try to drum up something that they like the most, just like that.
Well, think about
Daddy
it.
did this. Daddy did that. Matt did this. That would be Holly. And, Holly. Matt was this. That Matt was this. Matt did this. Right. Matt did this. They should have to worry. I want them to worry about which ones to choose, not have to try to think about something. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. But think about this. Okay, so I totally get what you're saying. You're gone more than I'm gone because you're not there at night. And you're not there at night.
Sure.
And you and I have a lot of similarities to kid time. But I struggled with that a lot too. And my dad, during a peak time in my life, was away from home for a week at the time and just home on the weekends. And while at the time I felt like I saw a huge difference of him not being there, after I was older and he was there, like now when I even look back and he's not here, but I look back, I don't feel like I missed that.
Yeah, sure.
But think about it like this. If you took your children tomorrow to Disney World for 1 week out of their entire life, you carried them to Disney, and in 10 years from now, someone asked them, what was your favorite thing about going to Disney? They're going to tell them just like that.
Yep.
They're still going to find something that they're going to say about you. They're not going to have to think about it.
Right.
You think they're going to have to do that.
That's my fear.
It's a fear.
It's a fear.
It's definite fear. But Disney was 1 week out of their life that was just super fun, and they were so excited. But you're a part of it every day, whether you're there or not. They know they have a dad. They know they have someone to count on. I'm sure when you're on shift, you probably talk to them.
Sure.
Yeah. I, in my situation like I worried about that probably more than you do, and you're a part of that on an everyday basis more. But I had to look at quality over quantity.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes that. I definitely play that. I mean, when I'm at home with my kids, that's why I said when it comes to dinner time and stuff like that, when I'm home for dinner, they ain't nothing else happening but us sitting there. I don't know if it's like that with Holly. It's way different when it comes to, I hate to use the word single parenting, but when I'm gone, she's single parenting. That's just reality.
That's right.
It's a different world, and it takes a special person to do that. Free plug, Holly, you're welcome. It takes a special type of person for sure. Yeah, but when I'm with them, we're gone. We're doing something, trying at least. My very best. We'll get out in the yard and do shit. Our ritual. You remember that picture I sent you not too long ago? I was talking about the after dinner walk.
Mm-hmm.
That's a ritual at my house. As after we eat dinner in the evening times, rain, sleet, hail or snow, winter, whatever, doesn't matter. We walk. We go down the farm path and down and back, and most of the time the kids absolutely sprint all the way down. They'll be out of sight, and then they'll turn around and come back and meet you about halfway. And that's just ritual.
Yeah.
Those are good things to do,
Yeah.
Early in our interaction with this, where we started talking a lot,
Yeah.
I ended up texting you about something that was mildly important. I don't remember what it was now, but it was pretty early on. But it was like 7. It was in the evening time around dinner time. And you just hit me with a casual little, yeah, I'll get back to you later. We're doing dinner time.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, my man. It wasn't offensive at all.
Right.
Ironically or interestingly enough, it checked another box. Like, I respect you for the industry that we're in and your talents and abilities, but then the family box got checked. I was like, that's pretty stand up.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's important.
I'd love to say it was intentional, but it was. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I did it on purpose, but it's...
Yeah. I like that my kids are 12 and 14. I'll get a message, like a text message when I'm at work, and Keenan's, it's different. Like it'll be like, bruh or something, and then whatever. And then Cohen, if she texts like dad, and then I see the dots coming up, I know it's coming, but we can talk. Like we have a dialogue. It's nice. I worry about those things too.
Sure.
That you said from like 18 to 28, you and your pops didn't.
Yeah.
Shoot, that's a long
It
time.
might have been 16 to 25. Anyway, like I said, my 20s until I met Holly they're pretty fuzzy.
All over the place,
they're really fuzzy.
But do you know why? Have you figured out in this amount of time, have you figured out why that happened? Because I did, and I swear to you, I just shared that same information with Chief Hall.
I think I know the reason for sure, but
I want to hear
I'm
it.
sure there's deeper reasons. So You want to hear Chris's?
I want to hear both. Before you start, mine was much shorter. I had the same experience, but mine was like 8 months, 6 months, 8 months.
I think it's natural, man, to be honest with you.
Mine was only 2 years. But I bet it was pretty close to yours. I think we've had this conversation. That's why I'm very interested to see what you have to say.
Yeah. Hit us with yours first.
My parents both are very, very, very devout Christian religious people. And in my 20s, like I said, when it was fuzzy, it was fuzzy. So the path that I was leading on is not what they thought they had raised me to go down.
Bud heavies.
By the dozens. Yeah. I lived 2 summers on a charter fishing boat in Morehead City. Yeah. Yeah. So
there's no reason.
It was it was so I'm gonna say maybe rebellious years. Maybe, you know, some people call it rebellious, some people call it discovery years, whatever. I like the idea of discovery years. It seems to make a little more sense. I was just dumb and out on my own, and had to experience. I had to try to figure shit out, you know.
Yeah.
But it was just not the way that Mom and Dad probably had designed for me to figure it out. So that I'm sure was a point of contention between me and Dad.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So, and that probably always lurked.
Probably heavier on your side. You thought it was more. I don't know.
I don't know that I thought much other
gotcha.
than,
Yeah.
you know, there's this tension because I'm living this lifestyle and they live this lifestyle and they are completely contradicting. And it's just, you know, we just didn't get along. Does that make sense? You know, we just didn't get along. So that's probably a heavy reason.
Do you feel like, and I think you answered it, but do you feel like at any point in that time that you look back and you said, you can't tell me what to do?
Yeah, all the time. Absolutely. From the time when I was out on my own, moved out on my own, had big boy job, insurance, paying my own bills. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Would you also say, besides the fact that would you also say, let's see how to word this. You felt like you knew better for you than they knew for you?
No, I don't think I ever had that moment that I knew better than they knew for me. I think I still to this day want to think this is the way I thought, is they had a particular plan for my life. They had tried to implement a path for me to walk down, and I wasn't walking down it. It wasn't a conscious choice that I was making to not like I'm not doing this because you're wanting me to do this. It wasn't anything like that I thought I knew better. It was just, I don't want to do that right now.
But in reality,
yeah, I don't want to do that right now.
You felt like your decision was the right decision.
Yeah, I thought I'm grown and I can do what I want.
And I honestly have no doubt that is no different than the two of us.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I'm grown. I'm out on my own.
Yeah.
I'm not under your roof anymore, which is what's been preached to me my whole life. My house, my rules, my roof, my rules. You live under this roof, you'll follow these rules, which I believe in that 100%. But when I wasn't under that roof,
it wasn't their rules anymore.
It wasn't their rules.
Yeah.
Mine was probably similar. It was different in that our at home, or not at home, away from the job site, we got along great. Fishing, hanging out, doing whatever. But at work on a job site, man, it was just like I wanted so badly to be respected, and I had ideas, and he would shut me down, and it drove me nuts. I just couldn't be in the same environment. So I ran off and worked doing landscaping or lot clearing with another company. And then about 6 months in, 7 months maybe, I was like, I hate this. So I called him. It was weird. It was important for it not to happen at home. Like, I don't know if it was honor or if it was respecting the home, but I called him on the phone during working hours. I was actually still on the other job. And I was like, I see that I was making our relationship not cool at work. I won't do that anymore. I want to come back. And he was like, all right, let's do it. Like it wasn't a negotiation or anything.
It's like
I don't know. Maybe we'll see this one day. Chris, you might have reached this point in your life already with some of your children, but maybe I will with mine. It's almost like he knew.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was
He's
like,
just waiting on that
yeah,
moment.
Oh,
he's
there is no
he's gonna go do
doubt.
his little
Yep.
thing. He's gonna have that grass is greener
He'll come back.
syndrome. That's
Yeah.
right. He'll come back to this side of the fence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From then on, I still would get frustrated when he would shut me down, but I knew what the other side was like.
Right.
And I also knew that it was his character, and I could see myself in it. So for whatever reason, it didn't hurt anymore, like it did in the beginning. I mean, bro, we all at that, like, fresh adult, we think we're so damn smart. Yeah.
That's just crazy. Because exactly the same thing. Like, I worked with my dad, and we were away from home. So we worked 2 hours away from home. We worked there all during the week. We came home on the weekends. I let the fact that I was not living at home change the way I felt about things. And then the same thing, I would get shut down about ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me very angry,
resentful,
and angry towards, my dad, until the point that where we were arguing. And I searched out a way to get him to make me leave, and it wasn't going to happen until I left. And I did the exact same thing that you did. Mine lasted for 2 years. And he and I were best friends outside of the shop. And then during working hours, it wasn't like that. And so after that 2-year period of time, we still talked because he was my dad and we still did things together, but not like we worked in the same place every day. But after that 2 years, and he decided that he wanted to open up another shop in Rose Hill where we lived, and he called and asked me, what do you think about doing it? I'm like, I'll quit tomorrow. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I felt like I knew everything and that you were stupid, and I realized now that I'm the one that was stupid and you were the one that was smart, and we did that, and then we worked together, and we were both managers of the same business, and I had that concept of thought to what can I do better that'll make us more money, and his was more, hey, I'm 50-some years old and I'm just happy like things are, and we would argue like hell about that on Friday. And I'd get up on Saturday morning and I'd be like, hey man, where you want to do today? Where you want to go? Same scenario. I didn't ask to come back like you did. He asked me back, but it took longer for that amount of time to happen. But all three are so very much alike. I thought I knew what was best for me. You thought you knew what was best for you. Regardless of how you word it, you thought you knew what was best for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And your parents had a path they expected from you. But so did your dad, and so did mine. It wasn't, maybe not, well, I feel like in my house it was probably the same path, but maybe not as straightforward.
Sure.
But it was still the same thing. It's still, all three situations are still so very much almost identically alike. And I'll bet you $1 to a donut that you can interview 50 people, and 49 of them at least will have the exact same story in some respect or another.
Especially in that son-father
I
situation.
bet you're right.
Yes.
And I bet all the 18 and 19-year-old firemen that listen to this show are like, that'll never happen to me.
Bull
My dad's a
shit.
Yeah.
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 That'll never happen
Take
to me.
it from these gray hairs, people.
Phew.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go ahead.
I was gonna say there's a similar feeling that you'll get at work, like chief fireman.
Right.
There's a father son type thing there.
Absolutely.
It's an authority figure thing. Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. the more, and especially that with the more you work with a person. I mean, when you first were to start here, you probably would not feel like any of your chiefs were that way. Mm-hmm. But your interactions every day definitely make that different and change that. And it's just like we talked about today, having that relationship with the people that you're on shift with. You have to have a close personal relationship with those people to be and sleep and eat in bed with them for a 24-hour period. More him than you because of their living arrangements.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
for sure.
You have to have a liking to that. If you didn't, you would never make it. Someone would break, you know. But the younger people that were, you know, you're talking about that say that'll never happen to me. Yeah, bullcrap.
I agree.
Bullcrap.
Yeah, I agree.
The company officer position. You know, I was saying the father son, like the feeling. I don't know if I feel it exactly in the company officer, but it's there. My guys are all seasoned, so I don't have like a rookie, you know. But there's a weight on a company officer position that you don't see when you decide you're going to apply for it.
Sure.
And like everybody always does the same mistakes. Like you get that company officer spot and you feel like you got to, you know, make a name for yourself, or you got to do these certain things, and we all end up looking like assholes at least, you know, 104 times.
I think that's where maybe our belief may change, may be different on that.
Is that right?
I believe so. I believe by the time, this is my opinion, 100%, and this would be a personal opinion of mine, just the way I look at things, for me. But by the time I get to the level of company officer, I believe the name should be already established.
Yes.
I don't want to make a name for myself as a company officer.
You want to make it before you reach that point.
That's right. That's right. I want people to want to work for me. Not.
I get that.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and it's perfectly logical.
You know how my logical
But it's a mistake that gets repeated.
Of course.
Yep, time
People
and
are
time again.
people are put or chosen to be in positions of authority that don't know how to handle that. Mm-hmm. And they think there's this hypothetical expectation because their mentors are excelling or have excelled, and they think that there's a fast track to that, and there's not.
If being an asshole first year company officer was an object, like if you could make it this paperweight that you keep on your desk, I knew it existed, and I kept it near me, like, don't do this.
Oh, sure.
And it probably saved me from a lot of mistakes. I still ended up making some, right? Like
You're human.
Yeah, it's so hard to avoid. Some people make far more of them than others.
Right.
But there's after you get past that and you get a little more time in, you start to feel the more real weights, like the lives of your crew,
Sure.
the lives of your citizens in your area you're protecting. You make a casual decision to go defensive instead of offensive because it's a room and contents, and Susie, who's 10 years old and deserves the rest of her life, doesn't get saved because you made, like, that's, if it's not heavy on you, if that's not a real burden on your decision making, I don't know how I got steered toward this. I don't know how I got here, but
Doesn't matter.
Company officer spot. Don't disrespect it. The craft. Make decisions like people's lives depend on it, because they do. Yeah.
Father figure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when those years when we thought we were dumb, or we were smarter, but we were actually dumb.
Yeah.
Our fathers, just company officer, our fathers were instilling us. I view it as they had a path set out for me, but they weren't. They were just instilling a set of values and morals that have now at 36 years old that guide a lot of my decisions that I make. For my personal life, for my family life, for my kids. That's all stuff from them. That's not stuff I read in a book. That's not, I read a lot and I do a lot of research on different topics, but all it does is basically say the same things. All my research and everything that I do is basically just re-saying everything that my parents said X amount of years ago.
Yeah.
So, it's, you know what I mean? It's the same thing in a company officer's position. It should just be you regurgitating what you've learned, what you have figured out. Hopefully, in a magic world, all the company officers are Steve Hunts. So, they're all great rock stars that understand that a reputation is built from the people who work under you, not anything that you can possibly do on your own. That's not even a thing. You don't build a reputation based off of what ego you possess. It's what the people who work for you are saying about you. That's your reputation, or that's the one that matters in our career.
Yeah,
It don't make
absolutely.
a shit what you think about yourself. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Heartbreaker. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. It's all about what the people who are in your charge are saying about you. That's where your reputation is built. That should be done before you get a red hat.
Yeah.
I agree.
This part can be edited out. Probably will be edited out.
Probably not.
little hypocrite test for you. So, I teach people around me to treat medical calls like it's a family member. And that way you default to making the right decision because you're caring about this person. So, structure fire, house is on fire, known occupants, and you got two choices and two different schools of thought. Do I pretend that my firefighter's my son and then protect him from this dangerous act? Or do I pretend that the
People
person
inside the house are.
Yeah, that's a hypocrite test for you. If you fail that test, you need to resign and move on to a different.
You need to reevaluate that at the end of your 5-year contract.
There you go.
Yeah. If you just valued the firefighter as your son over Susie as your daughter, or Keenan as your son, if you just valued your crew over the occupant of the house, I understand.
Sure.
I understand. But you failed the mission, and you need to move.
For more than one reason, because you have to remember that the person that's beside you helping you made a conscious choice to do what he's doing.
Exactly.
The little girl that's in the house didn't make a conscious choice.
And we gave him or her all the PPE necessary.
And that's exactly right.
Training,
Yes.
XYZ, you name it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're in that spot and you made that decision the other way, or yourself,
Yeah.
that's even worse. But yeah, that's a hypocrite test for you that you can take on your own anytime.
Well, I got to ask you a question I'm curious about for my own good. During that period of time when you were estranged from your family,
Make it sound like I was a crackhead or something.
yeah, no, we've all done it, but
Crack?
during that period of time, other than, because I know during that time you interacted with your mom and dad,
Sure, absolutely.
just as you did and just as I did.
Yeah.
But during that time, did you ever feel like your dad was giving you an ultimatum? Either fix what you're doing and change, or don't come your ass back to this house.
God, no.
No. But you know what? And I didn't either. And you know why? Because I honestly, in my heart, feel like that he was saying, I'm going to teach you something.
Yeah.
And I hope I can do that with my children the same way. whether or not that happens or whether it's just a bad decision that they're making, instead of running out and scooping them up before they decide to take that drink or throw eggs at a passing car or whatever it is. Because
Street lights out with paintballs.
Yes, we've had that shit in my house.
Of course.
But before I run out,
Thank God you've had that shit in your house.
Yes.
Thank God.
Before I run out and scoop them up and keep them from making that mistake, like I feel like as long as they don't kill a person or hurt somebody,
Steal.
but that I want them to make it, and I want to be there and be like, you got any questions about what you did? Because my dad didn't either. During that 2-year period, he never one time was like, why you got this job? That's the stupidest thing you'll ever do. You should have stayed here. No. He was like, you like what you're doing? Yeah. He was supportive in it, and I'd pissed him off.
Yeah.
I had just up and left, and at the time, I didn't think about it as much as I do now, but now I'm like, dude, I really want to be that dad to my kid.
Yeah, I've definitely taken a whole bunch of things from my father that I want to do for my children and with my children, and I've also learned a lot of things that I don't want to be. I mean, there's
absolutely
both sides to the coin. He did a lot of things that I would never do to my children,
right?
And then I've done a lot. I mean, you know what I mean? There's things that I hope that I can do half as good as he did, but the that part where you saying him not saying anything or anything like that, that's going to be the title to my book one day. Is I'm trying to learn how to word it to where it would be kid friendly. The title that I want to use is The Art of Shutting the Fuck Up. Mm-hmm. That's what I want it to be.
You need to work on that one.
Yeah, I don't think it's kid friendly. It wouldn't be a good kids book.
No,
but it's a valuable.
necessary.
It would be today.
Well, maybe, yeah, but it's a valuable thing. You notice how our fathers, all three of us, our fathers were just quiet. Just they didn't say you're stupid, you're dumb, you're doing this, you're doing that. They're just quiet. And it's like the wiser we get. I've learned this. 37 years old. Y'all are both 50 and 60, and just y'all can, I'm sure, attest to this. So, the value of just being quiet sometimes and just watching things play out. I catch myself doing it at the kitchen table a lot now, whereas a decade ago, I was the loudest chirping bird at the kitchen table. Yeah. The loudest one. That reputation still I carry around sometimes. Mm-hmm. I carry it with this show. I'm an energetic person. There's no denying it. I'm an opinionated person. There's no denying it. But I've caught myself just, the whole room will be talking, and I'm just
soaking
observing.
Yeah, just shutting up, or, I don't know. It's, there's an art to it, and I wish there was a way to teach it to where it resonated with younger people, where there's just an art and just shut up.
I talked about that balance earlier.
Yeah.
Trying to find the balance. So as the son in that story, the son and the father not getting along, the balance to that, we couldn't see it at the time, but they were once the son and the father.
Oh, yeah.
Thing.
Amen.
So it's easy, having been through it, to sit back as the father and look and be like, they'll figure this shit out.
Yeah.
I got your perfect answer for your book. The art of shutting the duck up. And the duck can be the little cartoon character that's always saying shit that he shouldn't be saying. The art of shutting the duck up.
There's a book out. There's a book now, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
A duck.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a real book. It's very good. I recommend it too, by the way. It's great read.
Nice.
But yeah, how to reword that, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I used that as an example the other day with a younger, loud chirping bird that we have in our department, and I was, we were doing nothing more than being experimental. We were playing with hose loads and how to be more proficient and how to. I'm a firm believer and I was the 10-year guy. I'm going backwards for a second, but I was one of the people who was, and I have this at times anyway. But the part of, we shouldn't make the fire service easier. We should just hold our standard and let people go as needed. But it's not reality. So now I've kind of shifted my mindset of, if the generation coming in is going to be is going to learn differently, then we probably should evolve our tactics and how we're communicating and teaching them. So get in front of the curve rather than get run over by the curve. The proactive stance versus just the couch potato type stance. So we were just playing with hose loads. All 7 of us at one time that are stationed. We got hose pulled off the truck. We're packing it differently, bundling it differently, playing with some of the bundle stuff that we've seen recently at some of the conferences. Because I'm like, this stuff is here for a reason. These people are not idiots. They're the best at this in our industry. We should probably pay attention.
Yeah.
So let's play with this and see if it's applicable for any of our stuff. Well, that got skewed immediately in the pass on in the next morning. It got skewed bad, and there was some controversy and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like,
no good deed goes unpunished.
it's
That's
just
right.
like, if you could have just shut up,
Yeah.
there would none of this would have ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
Just shut up. Not me, but
Yeah.
I want to tell the chirping bird.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, just shut up. Just shut up.
Mm-hmm.
None of this would have happened. Weird tangent.
Nah, I'm with you. I've been in that situation a couple of times.
I'm sure I've been that bird more times than I care to remember.
Absolutely.
I'm sure I've been that person. But it's just like your dads used to say right before they whip your ass, like, this hurts me more than it hurts you, or
Bullshit.
you don't understand this,
that's what I
but
always said anyway.
you don't understand this now, but you'll get it later.
No,
God, the
let me
truth
tell
in
you
that
the worst.
statement, mercy.
let me tell both of you the worst. So I got the same statements, but this is the one that I got that got me worse than any other one, and I still do not have the nuts to tell my kids that this today. My dad would say, when I'm done, if you feel like I've done any injustice to you, you can turn around and do the same thing to me. And I was like, dude, just shut up and beat the shit out of me. Like, please, like, you're getting ready to make me break down even worse than I already am. But he would. Every time he would say, when I'm done, if you feel like I've done you wrong, he said, then you turn around and do the same thing to me. And I'm like, that'll never happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but it was horrible. The whole it hurts me thing, like, it bothered me, but it didn't bother me nothing like it did when he said that. I was like, shit, he's for real.
Yeah. The statements are funny, man. Like the hurts me more than it hurts you statements. It's like all you can think in your little brain is the actual physical pain.
Yeah,
you
like,
don't have any.
Nobody's whipping your ass with that damn belt.
Yeah, you don't have any. You don't have any concept of what that does
Until now.
on an emotional level.
When
yes,
you have to discipline your kid and you go back and lay in the bed and you're like, I tell Kim, I'm like, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Why? This is what I did. I shouldn't. But
I think you
did.
should. I think if you don't, there's a screw loose somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I shouldn't second guess my decision of what I did, which is basically the whole feeling like shit part. But I shouldn't second guess myself, because if you made that decision, I hope it was warranted. And it's always been warranted. But it doesn't help it any. But yeah, I refuse to say that to my kids. If you feel like I've done you an injustice, you can. Yeah,
I'm scared to death. Both my kids will whip my ass.
I don't know who told me. I wish I knew, but I don't know who told me. But it's the best parenting advice out there, and I stuck to it, and it worked out beautifully. And it's don't ever threaten something and then not follow through.
Oh yeah, the world's worst.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of having done that more than once.
Yeah,
It
empty
slows
threats.
down your threats. So you're about to come off with if you do that, I'll kill you. And you're like, all right, I'm probably not going to kill him. So it slows you down for just a second to make sure that your punishment threat is equal to the crime. But I did it early, and it worked. I threatened something one time that I was like, man, I hope they don't follow through. And I had to destroy like this tablet thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was gone. Yeah. It's like, if this doesn't change, that goes away. And it had to go away. I was like, I'm not going to sacrifice this. But
Yeah, I commend you for that because empty threats don't normally go far. And I've done it
Now, them
a
sponges,
few times.
them sponges catch on.
You're not kidding.
Yeah.
They're like, I got away with this twice.
Yeah.
Well, if you got away with it twice, I'm pretty sure you're probably going to get away with it again.
Yeah. Holly's pretty bad with that. She used to be. She's gotten a lot better, but and it's just me saying, like, better be easy.
Yeah,
If you're going,
I think I know your answer on this question. Curious of yours. There's two broad or far apart schools of thought. I'm your parent, I'm not your friend. That school of thought. And then the parents that are friends school of thought. Where are you at on that? And just to be clear, there's not a wrong answer. Everybody's
No,
got their own.
there's
Oh,
not.
absolutely no.
I live, and me and Holly talked about this when we first found out we were even going to have our first kid, my son, that our goal together would be to raise responsible adults, not good kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have stuck to that. At times, being a friend is more important than being a parent. And I don't know if I have a solid answer for that. I try to be a better parent than I am a friend because I don't want to be their friend. It's a bit of the boss versus friend mentality, and I understand the dichotomy there. But I think I personally have done a good job at establishing that line, that boundary. When it's friend time, it's friend time. And when it's not friend time, when it's parent time, it's parent time. And I think, I know for a fact that both of my children, they know that. They know that there's hard boundaries, and they can tell it. My tone changes, everything changes, and they know it's not dad, it's not friend time anymore. It's serious time. It's Holly's big. She gets mad at me every night that I'm home because I always put the kids to bed when I'm home, and they go right to bed. And for her, it's a 2-hour process. She has to lay with Rylan for X amount of time. She has to go cuddle with John Matthew for X amount of time. She gets so mad. She's like, "It's so easy for you." And I was like, "Well, I started that when they were born. I don't do that. I'll lay with Rylan I'll tell her. She'll be like, "Will you lay with me?" Her thing is pat butt. She wants you to pat her butt. Pat, will you lay with me and pat butt? So I say, "Yep, I'll lay with you for just a minute." And then I make her go to bed a little bit earlier than John Matthew just because he's older. So I give him a little more privilege. We're talking 10 minutes here. This is nothing. And
It's a huge thing to them, though.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Big.
Well, she doesn't get mad about that. But I also strategically use it as a way to leave her. So it's strategic on my part. So I'll pat butt for her for a minute, and I'll be like, "All right, I got to go put John Matthew to bed. Or I got to go put Bubba to bed." So I'll pop up and leave, and unless she needs more juice, I don't go back in the room, period.
Yeah.
And John Matthew, it's good night. We say his prayers, nothing. Am I going to school tomorrow? What day is tomorrow? That sort of, he's 8. Are you home tomorrow? Are you working tomorrow? That sort of thing. And that's it. Done. I'm done. It's a 15-minute process. Done. Holly's hours. She started tonight about 8:30, and she may be out of my daughter's bed by now. Maybe. Maybe.
Oh.
Yeah. It's totally it's
Those
totally
days.
different.
Oh, wow.
I don't
those
know
days.
though. Just off my past, I would say I would want to be a better parent than friend. I think they'll make friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Friends don't fulfill the same role as parents do. That makes sense.
I've tried hard to walk that line.
Well, that leads me to my question. Our situations are similar. So with that being said, do you find it harder to not be more of a friend than a parent because of the situation? Because that's my problem, especially early on. Maybe not now as much, but especially early on. I mean, we're talking 3 and 6, age-wise.
I knew that I didn't want trouble down the road. Like, like you're saying, like they need to be good adults.
Right.
And I got lucky, and every counselor that you ever see on TV or in real life, they always bring it down to communication.
Sure.
And it wasn't my idea. Wherever I got it from, I banked on that. So anything I threatened, I followed through with. So I was a parent. But the whole time, if we went to go do fun things, it wasn't just to go to the destination, let them be entertained, and then go home. Like, we did the fun things. And
Right.
Yeah, it was us hanging out. And so I communicated with them a lot. And so now we're like really good friends, and I don't have to parent as much. You know what I mean? Because there's they don't want to disappoint me at all. You know what I mean? So they do good things and they behave and do the things that I need them to do because we communicate so much, and they fear disappointment more than they fear wrath.
Right.
Yeah. So every kid's personality is different.
Oh,
like
God, yes.
there's no like, all right, let's just check these things and we
Cookie
got a
cutter.
good kid at the
There's
end.
no
Yeah.
cookie cutter plan.
Does not
Absolutely
work. Yeah,
not.
they're all different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think I ended up blending in a lot more friend than parent. And I think it's probably more than any therapist would recommend, generically speaking. Like, I think if I'd laid out the history as the future to a therapist, they'd be like, that'll never work. But so far, I'm really satisfied.
I can really appreciate that.
Well, boys, I think we are working on the longest podcast we've ever done.
History books.
What time do you think it is? Oh, look. God, you've looked.
But I already knew,
Yeah.
for the most part, I was just seeing how the last 15 minutes time lapse was. Because when Kim texted me and I looked at my phone, I was like, holy crap, I didn't realize it was that time.
You said 8:30 earlier, and I was like, it's past 8:30?
What now?
You said 8:30 when you were talking about when she was putting the kids to bed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You said 8:30, like if it had happened in the past a little ways.
Right. Oh, it's been in the past.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Way in the past. I honestly remember having a conversation with Kim at 8:30.
Yeah.
And that is yesterday.
Long since past.
Yeah.
What time is it?
Almost 10:40.
Oh my God.
I know. It's crazy. It is
This
crazy.
will 100% be a 2-part show. I'm not sure. It maybe have to end up being a 3-part show, just because they probably won't let us allow this much data upload. Yeah, they won't let us do that. So
If
Podbean, you
nothing-
should probably change that. But anyway,
If nothing else for me, the two questions are the most important things of this conversation. 'Cause
dude, this
that
whole
was-
conversation's been great.
It has, but I'm gonna tell you, man, like the whole thought process and those answers, and the fact that we weren't 100% exactly the same, but in the end, we figured out that it was really kind of the same.
I saw it going down that path. I was
It
like,
is-
we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
We're
Holy
just
shit.
articulating it a little bit different.
Wow.
So yeah, makes sense.
Hmm.
It's always a blast.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Always
without
a blast.
doubt. Without a doubt.
Cool
Yeah.
deal.
And you broke the rules tonight. Thanks for dinner.
Yeah, no, it's not necessary,
Yeah,
but appreciate it.
It's always necessary.
Yeah, and for the listeners, we're fresh out of Blanton's, so
Yeah.
another bottle of that be great.
Yeah.
So
We
send
like
it.
the
Send it.
I
Do
think
you
it's
have-
a 0 or an O.
Yeah. I don't know how they're labeling these things, but
The horse has a number.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a story with Blanton's. Have you seen the board?
Well, you can buy the thing that you put these in.
That's
yes.
right. It's the board. Well, there's a certain amount of that's bottle which number?
It's either a 0 or an O.
Okay, so it's a 0, and I forget how many of them there is, but every
There's either
horse,
13 or 16, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, and all the horses change shape, and if you have all 13 of them on this board is in the shape of of them running, like sprinting.
That's cool.
Sounds like a challenge to me.
Sounds expensive.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, definitely a keeper there.
Nice. Yeah, sounds like you're going to need to break off a house payment to get a row of horses.
I'll make the board.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dope.
You make the board, we'll make
Chris will buy the liquor. Heard it.
Yeah.
Right here. It's on the internet.
You heard it here first.
on live.
Oh, mercy.
Nice.
Gary's coming now.
Is he? Oh, Beasley never came in.
He sure did.
I didn't expect him to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to. I would have been surprised if he did. I'd have been like, oh, hey.
I'm going to tell you, we should get Beasley down here. Like, let's get him in.
I don't know if I'm prepared. Might take more than a bottle of blends. Yeah. Or maybe one a piece. Like you have one, I have one. Yeah, I have to do that. It's been fun.
That has been fun.
All
Thanks
right.
for coming on.
Appreciate it. Mr. Blanchard, as always.
Be the one that says thanks.
Yeah.
And thanks for the good questions. Tonight was nice, man.
Yeah.
Well played, sir.
All right.
So if you take the